So, welcome everybody to our L3Harris guest speaker meeting today with the Future Technical Communicators Club. And so FTC is a club that's based on TechCom and career prep. And today we have a lot of great guest speakers from L3Harris's integrated product support team joining us. So it's going to be a great panel, a great presentation. And first of all, we'd just like to do a few introductions to our club and where we come from. And first of all, if you're a new student, just welcome to the club, and we hope that you enjoy this meeting. We have a sign-in sheet in the chat if you're new and would like to, if we'd like to connect with us and just connect to our socials. And we're on a few different places where you have a Discord server where we can chat in between meetings. And we're also on social media where you can catch up with us and follow up on our announcements and everything like that. We try to have guest speaker meetings like this throughout the semester, so definitely tune in and stay involved. And again, we're happy to just be here with you and presenting with another great meeting, this time with particularly great L3Harris team. And so keep your eye on the chat for those links. And I'd like to pass it on to one of our other leaders, our Vice President, Caitlin, to talk a little bit more about FTC, what we are, and a few things that we have to offer coming up. And I'm going to be sharing a few things as I do so, as she does so.
Hi, everybody. Like John said, my name's Caitlin. I'm the Vice President. I've been with the club since fall of 2019. So I've definitely seen it grow and change a lot, but one thing that's always stayed the same is the fact that we are a career prep club. We're trying to help all of the students, no matter what their major, background, or how long they've been here, get placed to the correct job and find out the tools and resources they need. So we do that through things like workshops. We have networking events frequently, and then we have things like this where we get lovely guest speakers who agree to give us their time and attention to come and give advice. We're actually moving up onto our second decade existing, which is really exciting. Look out for celebration stuff about that. But we're just really happy to always reach out a hand and try to help out younger students, because we remember what it was like to be that confused back in the day. So always feel free to reach out to us. We're on LinkedIn, and we're really just happy to help you any way that we can for the older students. And then, as John said, we have a few exciting events coming up. The one that's coming up soonest, we're having John Paz, who is another guest speaker of ours. He's coming back on February 11th, and he's going to be talking about resume writing and how to shape up old documents and figure out how to just really take yourself from an okay resume to one that's really going to wow employers and get you to the first interview. Then the second thing will be our joint meeting with STC. They're going to be helping us celebrate our 20th anniversary. And it's also just an absolutely fantastic event to network with. If you can't show up to anything else, it is absolutely the thing I would recommend coming to. It's a great place to meet professionals, to hear about all the types of opportunities that you can get in a tech writing field. And it's just really fun. Like, it's a nice time. And some people manage to get jobs out of it. I've had friends manage to get hired up by Universal through it. So I would definitely recommend that. And then the final thing, and this is very recent and something that me and John have worked on, we have gotten about 17 jobs and internships and a bunch of job leads together. And we're going to be publishing them soon as a article for everybody to look at. So be on the lookout for that. We've got opportunities for new beginners all the way up until like people who are in their career. So like 8+ years of experience, and we just want to help everybody get connected. So please take a look at that. And if you know about any jobs that are coming up or are opening up, please send them to us. We want to keep doing this because, as I said, our first and most important mission is always to serve our community. So thank you all, and I will turn it back over to John.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Caitlin. And yes, as she said, we're always trying to put events like this on, or put resources like this on. Keep watch for just the events and things that we have to publish for you throughout the semester and in the near future. So thank you again for that. And with that being said, with the intro about FTC itself, we would like to turn it toward the presentation about L3Harris. But first, we have a short video that our presenters wanted to show you about L3Harris as a company. So I will be sharing that right now. Just a moment as I turn on the sound for it. So that's just a brief introduction to L3Harris, which is one of the largest aerospace and defense companies in the nation. And so with that being said, and with that being shown, I'd like to pass it on to our presenters to introduce themselves and start our presentation for today.
Okay, John, would you like us to introduce ourselves first and then go on with the presentation? How would you like to do that?
Sure, that would be great if everybody from the team could introduce themselves.
Okay, well, I'll start us off and then Melissa after me, and then I guess we can go down the name list for that. But thank you for inviting me, John. You know, this is really exciting to be able to talk to FTC and their guests, because I understand that there are some guests that are here in the presentation with us. So I'm really excited about that, and I'm very excited about sharing what we do at L3Harris. Now, you know, the primary focus of what we're going to talk to the group about is technical writing, but as you can imagine, there's much more to L3Harris than technical writing. There's, you know, specifically the Integrated Product Support Department. So I'll talk a little bit about myself. Spent 23 years in the United States Air Force as an aircraft maintainer and logistician. I retired in 2013, and then spent a couple of years as a public school teacher, and worked for 3 years with the US State Department performing logistics projects. I've been with L3Harris for about 3.5 years now in my current role as the engineering manager of the department. I have a department of, I think, 83 engineers as of today. And I'm excited to talk to you all about what they do on a daily basis to support the warfighter and our customers. So with that intro, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Melissa.
Thanks, Marty. So my name is Melissa Rios. I am a senior manager at L3Harris underneath the Integrated Product Support Department, reporting to Marty Sisson. I have 20 years now with L3Harris, 25 years in the industry itself. I am a UCF alumni. I graduated from the TechCom program a very long time ago. And I've been excited to have this partnership with UCF and L3Harris. So really looking forward to doing this tonight. My background is technical writing, but in my adventures at L3Harris, I have learned to do some training development, instructor-led training. I've moved into logistics, maintenance, planning, also done some business development, proposal work, a group leader. I do management on various programs. So I am a well-rounded individual thanks to my opportunities here at L3Harris. So I look forward to speaking with you more about that tonight. So I will just go to the next person I see on the list, Hunter.
Everyone, thanks, Melissa. So my name is Hunter Plant. I'm a not so new grad at this point. I've been at L3Harris for about 3 years now. I graduated from UF in 2019 with a bachelor's degree in industrial systems engineering. And I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight because I was in your shoes not too long ago, and I wish I would have been able to do some of these things that you guys are able to join in on. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about tech writing and all the stuff that we do at L3Harris. With that being said, I will pass it to the next person I see, which is the other Melissa.
Hi there, my name is Melissa. I graduated from UCF last spring. Before that, I did an internship with Harris, L3Harris, and then this summer I joined the team full-time as a tech writer. Oh, I get to pick somebody else. How about Sally?
Sally, you might be muted.
Check 1, 2, 3.
Yep, can hear you now.
I unmuted and it muted me again. I think it doesn't want me to talk because I'm having a bad hair day. But anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so thank you so much for attending this meeting. I'm really excited to be talking to you and getting to learn more about all of you. I am a UCF alumni too. Go Knights, and just really super excited to hear about all the activities that you all are doing. It's such a promising career that you're about to go into. About myself, I actually work on the L3Harris robotics program right now. I have various roles, but my current role is being the integrated product support manager for all of our logistics functions. So it's for depot, tech writing, training, technical training, online training, and logistics and sustainment. Really great job. If you're interested in looking at what I do with our robots, you can take a look at our L3Harris.com site and then just type in T4. That's our medium-sized robot. And you can also after type in T7, and that's our large-sized robot. And those robots are basically saving lives. That's one thing that I really love about my job is that I feel like I'm doing something very meaningful and purposeful. They're for ordnance disposal, so like car bombs, etc. And we have operators who operate this little console and then take the robots to go in to disable bombs or whatever it might be, just to render the area safe. If we didn't have those, then we would have our enlisted. They would have to suit up and they would have to go disable that bomb manually. And we don't want to do that. We want to keep everybody safe and sound. So I love my job. I love what I do with it. Past experience. So I have a master's degree in instructional systems technology that I did get from UCF. Background in software engineering. That was my undergraduate. I've worked at L3Harris for over 17 years. Prior to that, I worked at the Space Center for Lockheed Space Ops, working on the space shuttle and rocket operations. It's really cool too. I'm glad to be here too, though. I've had several different roles, and like Melissa said, there's a lot of opportunity here to branch out and kind of experience a lot of our IPS elements and products. So I've been anything from a tech writer to trainer to roles of increasing responsibility like group leader, control account manager, a proposal manager, and all sorts of things well and beyond what I originally had planned on doing. All have been really exciting experiences, and glad to be here, glad to talk to you. And with that, who am I going to pick? My box is smaller. Let's see. Marty, you want to pick for me?
Oh,
there's Natasha. I'll pick Natasha.
yeah, Natasha and Luke are left.
Okay.
You're muted, Natasha. You're muted.
I know you see my lips move and my
Yes.
hand gesturing, so you know I'm talking. Hi,
Yes.
everybody. So Melissa's my boss and Marty is her boss, but he's also my boss too. So they all know me. I know Sally. I know Luke. I know pretty much everybody that's on here. So thank you so much for joining us. When I was at UCF, I did not take part in any of these opportunities that you guys are getting right now. So I'm really grateful that you're seizing the day and, you know, helping yourself with that. I graduated from UCF with a literature degree, but I still ended up at Harris, thankfully. I love my job. There's a lot of different hats we wear under the integrated product support umbrella. So I do a little bit of supply support of who needs what, where, when. And sometimes my hair is on fire because everybody needs something all at once. I'm doing integration documents. I'm helping a proposal. I've done some tech writing. I've done some training development. So yes, you'll have so many opportunities if you decide to join us and apply. But yeah, it's really exciting to work here. I'm really proud of where I work, which is saying a lot because for a long time I worked retail. That's something I was proud of. But yeah, it was nice to meet you all. And Luke, you're left. So that's your turn now, dude.
All right, here we go. Looks like everything's working here. So my name's Luke. I'm a graduate from College of Charleston. I studied logistics, which I know isn't a lot like you guys. You guys are really, you know, zeroed in on what you're going for. But I'm working for L3Harris for 10 years now. Just celebrated my anniversary. A big moment for me this year. And yeah, I just to follow up with what Natasha was saying was there's never really a dull moment working for the team here. And it doesn't really feel like I've ever been sort of pigeonholed into like just doing one thing. So I don't just do technical manuals. I do training. I do hands-on. I actually got to do a little bit of a side project last year to develop some video training materials for our users. So that was a lot of fun. So it's definitely a lot of interesting things I get to do here. You know, it's not just writing papers; it's a lot of hands-on work as well. So that's what I like about it. And I'll I think I'm the last one, so I'll pass it back to either Melissa or Marty.
Marty can have it.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Luke. And you know, what I'm going to talk about here next is, you know, you've heard integrated product support in some of our introductions, and you've heard that, you know, it's never a dull moment in our department, because it's true. You know, one day you might be writing a tech manual, the next day you may be doing some training development, the next day you may be actually doing some engineering. And, you know, for those of the engineers that are listening in, we have engineers in our department. You know, you've heard a few of the degrees that have been mentioned here, but, you know, we have engineers that do tech writing. Hunter, he's, you know, he came out as a industrial engineer, and he's doing, you know, tech writing and much more. So, you know, while we're focused with your group FTC on tech writing, I want you to know that, you know, it can be much more than that. And in this presentation that I'm going to share with you all, hopefully you'll get to see a little bit more of what we do in our department. And it's true, in the video that you saw earlier, what we do on a daily basis supports the warfighter in the field. You know, whether it's the Coast Guard cutter out in the seas, you know, whether it's the F-35. I mean, if you're familiar with L3Harris, F-35 is probably what I would call our pinnacle program. You know, some folks here might not agree with that, but it is probably one of the crown jewels of L3Harris, and we're extremely proud of what we do with that. And and the systems that we support to make the F-35 fly. And it's amazing what we do. So I will go ahead and transition now to a slide deck. You know, please feel free to ask questions as I present the slide deck. There's going to be a lot of information here, but I'm hoping that I'll keep it interesting and engaging with you all. So I'm going to share my screen now. And I've got a lot up, don't I? Let's see here. There we go. Make sure I've got it on present. Oh. Let's see here. Share screen. Are you seeing my, what are you seeing right now on my screen? Okay.
Just
Yeah.
starting to share.
Okay, excellent. A little bit of a delay there then. Okay, you should see the full screen now, right?
Yes, yes.
You may need to move your boxes around because there's a lot of stuff on the screen here, but when you heard integrated product support earlier when we were introducing ourselves, it is a composite of 12 elements that comprise integrated product support. And the best way to describe it is the cradle to grave. So think of a baby's cradle, and then think to the grave, you know, when something is done, we are there to support that entire life cycle process. And these 12 elements all fit into that life cycle process. So where I'd like to concentrate a little bit today on is technical data. So if you see right there in the middle, and I would agree right there in the middle, you know, supporting all of this and being one of the pillars for integrated product support is technical data and what we do as technical communicators, whether it's writing TOs or technical orders or manuals or developing training. And you'll see that in the slides that are coming up. But you know, it's so much more than just maybe technical writing. You're going to contribute in some way or another to these other pillars here that you see in integrated product support. And you may venture out of your lane. You know, you may have that comfort lane where you're comfortable with technical writing, but I can guarantee you there may be a day that you're going to work with Natasha and supply support. So just want to give you that kind of like that overall look at what we are doing at L3Harris. I think it's the most exciting thing there, Harris. I think probably software engineers and electrical engineers might disagree with me, but you know, they're not touching everything that we touch on programs. We're you know, kind of a jack of all trades, but we are experts in many. So let me go ahead and go forward on this slide here. So if you can read this, you know, I'm not going to read it verbatim, but this kind of is a, you know, the Department of Defense provides the guidance on what integrated product support does. So we reach out to the Defense Acquisition University for our, basically they provide us the guidance on what each of the elements perform to support a program or a weapon system. So as you look through the description there, kind of gives you an idea of some of the things we do as technical writers, but trust me, it's not all encompassing. This is not all inclusive. I could probably spend, you know, 30 slides worth of information on what technical writers do, but this encompasses the main thrust of what a technical writer does. I'm going to get through the slides first, and then perhaps it might be easier then to ask questions. So I'm going to just go ahead and continue on. So I think a couple of us have mentioned some of the work that we do in training and training support. So as you can imagine, there is somewhat of a, you know, an overlap between what technical writers and technical trainers do. Clearly, you know, a technical writer could probably support a trainer on developing training, whether it's OJT or instructor-led training or you know, internet you know, online training. You know, we've done it all. We've done the scope as far as it's concerned with respect to training, and writers are a big part of that. And you know, it's also vice versa. Trainers are also they can also be a part of the technical writing effort on programs as well. So I just wanted kind of to show some of the synergies between the elements within integrated product support. So this slide here is probably gonna get you a little bit loopy, right? You know, a lot going on here, but this is a pretty good representation of what we might contribute to a program. So, you know, you see from the beginning on the left side there, you know, we're providing the requirements and the metrics that are involved in supporting a program. You know, we're there to develop a program, et cetera. And then obviously when you develop a program, you're going to transition into the production and deployment. So we are actively involved in each of these steps of the life cycle process. You remember that cradle to grave kind of visual that I gave you earlier? This sort of represents that in a flow chart. So a lot of acronyms and confusing terms on there. I don't want to get hung up on a lot of that. But what I can assure you is that you have integrated product support engineers fully engaged in many of these different, this flow that you see on this chart. And I think it accurately represents what we're doing on programs. And if you look at the very bottom of the flow chart here, you see product support management. So that's where you have those managers or IPTL, you know, or integrated product team leads. They're the ones that are providing some of that oversight to what goes on during that cradle to grave support. You know, you have program managers, you have project engineers, but then you also have those product team leaders that provide that oversight to this cradle to grave support. You know, there's the budgets that are involved in this as well. And, you know, Melissa and others as part of our teams, you know, Sally, they've all been part of that, that CAM function that basically runs the budget for what we do as integrated product team leaders. So this is my takeaway slide. So it's basically, you know, essentially summing up what I just described to you. You know, the things to point out here is that, you know, the 12 IPS elements really cover all of the weapon systems that we develop and field and their supportability. You know, at the end of a weapon system's life cycle, as you can imagine, well, what do you do with that F-35 or that tank or that ship? Well, it has to be disposed of, right? So we have to be actively involved in disposing that weapon system. As you can imagine, you just don't throw a ship away or an F-35. Typically, you know, we're actively involved and work with other engineers and taking parts or recycling material, et cetera. So that's, you know, another large area of what we do in integrated product support. I think that for the most part covers what I wanted to talk to you about with respect to integrated product support. Now, I know you're probably going to or may focus a lot of your questions on technical writing. That's not necessarily my expertise. I'm more in the product management role. So I'm going to defer to my team to answer some of the questions that you have. So John, if now's the right time, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you. And perhaps we can field some questions at this time.
Okay, that sounds great. And thank you so much for your presentation going over L3Harris and the integrated product support team. That was a lot of great information. And in terms of questions, I'd like to pass it over to our historian, Zachary. And we prepared a few moderated questions, and then we're going to be opening up the floor to things. So I'll pass it on to you to start with the Q&A portion.
Hey everybody, I'm Zachary. It's so glad to have you all here tonight. I wanted to start with a question about collaboration. I'm assuming most of you on the team have your own specialties, your own strong suits. I want to know how do you leverage each other's specialties to collaborate effectively?
So since we aren't all jumping in all at once, I will go ahead and start. So one of the things that is it's key almost is to at least know, you may not know everybody in the department, but have someone that you can reach out to that will help you know who to reach out to. So, for example, I do a lot of collaboration. I work on a lot of proposal efforts. I don't know everything, and I know I don't know everything. So I have my key people that I reach out to. Sally for training development, because that is her expertise, so I reach out to Sally, asking her questions regarding what I am trying to find information about or what I'm trying to do. A lot of times I'll reach out to Marty because he is the engineering manager for the department, and he can help point me in the right direction. But with my years of experience, I do actually know quite a lot of people that I can reach out to. But collaboration is a key part of integrated product support, not just tech writing, but integrated product support. You have to realize you don't know it all. And the best thing that you can do in order to be successful for yourself and also for the programs that you're supporting, and the end customer, is you have to know when you need help. And that's a key.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to add to that?
I can add to it. This is Sally. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, so to tag on to what Melissa was saying, I have a lot of needs within my department. I have a unique position in that it's a smaller program, so I tend to be like a Jill of all trades, and they've called me an army of one before, but sometimes there are times when I need some additional help. So we had some technical writing manuals that came out, but I also needed some logistics support, so I got that from Natasha. I needed some video support, which I received from Luke Gilbert. Definitely subject matter expertise from Marty and Melissa, and tech writing. If there's anything wrong with FrameMaker or Word or anything like that, I reach out to Melissa. And now Word, Melissa Olds is our guru there. I just really appreciate everything that you all do. So it makes it a really interesting position. You can wear many hats, and then if you have something where you don't know, there's always somebody else who has had experience from a former program. They have templates and they can provide feedback and things to do. Somebody was asking about corporate and department culture. I would say I've been at Harris off and on since, well, I don't want to say, because then you're gonna know how old I am, but for a long time. So I would say that the corporate culture is vastly different than it ever used to be. It's very engaging. It's very, I don't know, people really seem to enjoy coming to work today. There's a lot of enthusiasm and wanting to do good things and wanting to have a purposeful career and give back to their communities. Not so much on, old office politics and some of the stereotypes that you might see when you're watching sitcom shows. So it's a really interesting environment. Go ahead and give that up to the next topic, up to someone else.
Well, I do want to add on to department culture. We actually do have a excellent group. The department is very tight. We work together in whatever method we need to be able to be successful. We're not just working to only think about our own goals. We're working to be successful on the program, and as well as supporting each other. We may not be all working together on the same program. Matter of fact, none of us here are working on the same program. Of everybody who's here from L3Harris, none of us are working on the same program. Yet all of us are reaching out. Hey, do you need help? Are you good? Is there anything that I can do to help you, with a problem that you're having? We mentor each other. Like Sally said, Melissa Olds is just rocking the Word thing. So now the whole department knows you got a Word problem, you go to Melissa. So and we just help each other, and we have a great department culture.
I think Luke was going to answer the question on working remotely, right, Luke?
Yeah, that's right. So depending on who your customer is and where your customer is will definitely determine your ability to work from home. During the peak of the pandemic, I was still working on a lot of programs that required handling of proprietary knowledge. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to work home for those. However, also during the last 2 years, I've had a chance to work with some teams that were either up in Rochester or over on the West Coast. And for those projects where we were all working in different locations, there was no point or no choice but to work remotely. So it sort of is a by case basis, but depending on the level of security that your customer is looking for, there is an opportunity to work remotely from time to time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all awesome answers and great questions, everybody. I'm just going to ask a few more questions, and we're going to hold the general questions till right after that, if that's okay with everybody else. All right. So it was great to hear about how you can work together as a team and collaborate effectively, and you all have your separate strong suits. I wanted to ask you, what is it like when you bring an intern on the team, somebody who still is working to learn a lot of the skills on the job? Can you speak on that?
I'll start it, and then I'm sure I'll have plenty that want to chime in on this. So, you know, so Melissa, correct me if I'm wrong, but prior to a couple of years ago, we didn't really have an intern program, right? We just recently started that.
Yes, correct. We did not. Melissa Olds was our inaugural intern. So she kicked off the program for us, and then John was our intern last year. So yeah, we've only had the two.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I tell you what, you know, for Melissa to come in, and I know John's going to come in and just knock it out of the park. The ability to have someone come in with that academic knowledge and be able to seamlessly fit right in, like I know Melissa did, and you know, Tammy when she was here with us, and then, you know, John when he, you know, John during his internship with us. I mean, he was able to actually even work on programs and provide support to our team and that program. I mean, it's amazing what our interns are doing. And there's, you know, I would say we have a broad range of ages in our department. Some of us are a little bit, you know, older, and, you know, we're getting closer to our retirement years, but then to get the young, vibrant and energetic engineers and tech writers into our department, it really energizes everyone, and it makes us, you know, it not only that, you know, they contribute to the team, but just the overall sense of the department is that we're all functioning as one well-rounded team from different perspectives, inclusive and diverse perspectives, and that's what really makes it happen for us with our interns.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that too, Marty. So I never was part of the intern program either, but as a new grad specifically, I think that our department works is fantastic. They're very, very helpful, like Melissa was saying earlier, about engaging everyone and getting everyone up to speed. And, you know, they just care everybody to do good. So I think that that's definitely something that our department does extremely well. And I'm sure Melissa, being an intern, Melissa Olds, sorry, the different Melissa, she could talk about how it was as an intern, and I'm sure John can explain that to you as well. But yeah, our department does a great job with getting everyone up to speed.
Yeah, if I can for just a second, I did my internship 2 summers ago. It was summer of 2020. So I went from thinking I was going to be in plant for the whole thing to all of a sudden working remotely. At first I was kind of bummed because I was afraid I was going to miss out on some opportunities. But the integrated product support team really reached out. They built a really good program to give me an intro to what we do as the department, what kinds of technologies are happening in the company elsewhere. And so that just keeps going. You've got all these professionals who come in, they were doing presentations about what their specialty was. And those people are happy to just have you come alongside them and ask insightful questions, you know, listen to what they're saying, and then connect it to other ideas and ask them about that. I've never had a time when I didn't go to somebody and say, hey, I've got a question, and they're so happy to bring me up to speed, to tell me what I need to know, to help me figure out what's happening. So that community, that culture of the team really helps smooth that internship, that transition from your college life to your new professional life.
That's great to hear. Anybody else would like to add on to that, or we all good? All right. Probably my final question before we open up to a more generalized question and answer. I want to know, for the tech writers, what is it like to be like a tech writer in the defense industry, and how does it differ from maybe on other industries that take in tech writers, if you have experience in that?
So I guess I will go ahead and start. So like I mentioned, I got my degree at UCF as a tech comm grad a long time ago. And I actually started at a small company in Maitland, working for a cell phone company. And it was commercial best practice. We just kind of created user guides, and there was not a whole lot of structure. I could kind of do what I thought was best in regards to the documentation. Fortunately, I mean, I had Dr. Flamia, so I was very, very rigid in my idea of what was a good user guide. But when my husband, or actually fiance at the time, got a job in Melbourne, Florida, I was not going to drive from Orlando or from Melbourne. So looked for a job and got a job at Harris Corporation. And it was a Unix environment. Again, still commercial best practice, but I was coming into an existing program that was very structured, very engineer type wording. It was very dry, lots of words, lots and lots and lots of words. And they had not had technical writers. Sorry, my phone is ringing. They had not had technical writers before. So I was coming in and trying to clean up and turn these giant manuals into actual user manuals. I ended up transferring from that segment over to a more military, and we had military specs, which I had never seen before. So for those who don't know what a military spec is a document from whichever branch of the military that your contract is with, and they tell you exactly what your document will look like and what your document will contain. And some of them even go down to what size font and what type of font and how the spacing is, and it can be very regimented. And it was kind of a shock to go from I can do whatever I want to being told that I can't use the word the, which yes, there is a military spec that will not let you use the word the. So that was a huge, huge shock. So that was, they're not quite so regimented now. The military is kind of lightening up, but you still have contracts that will have, they will call out a specific military spec. And that's the very first thing that you need to do is take a look at what you can and cannot do in that document. So it's something that you've got to work through, and it can be kind of a curveball sometimes, but it's not too bad.
I can add to what Melissa had to say. My experience has been very diverse. So I first started at the Space Center working on some technical manuals for the shuttle and the rockets, and then came over to Harris and was working on air traffic control systems. Totally different product, very cool. But the skill set was pretty much the same. I could transfer it over. And then I did a career turn where I actually decided to develop some computer-based training on my own time under my own company. So for a short time, I had about 10 years actually. I had my own company, and I was a medical massage therapist. cool thing happened was that at the same time, Harris decided to take on a medical division and create what's called Harris Healthcare. And what they did was, at the time, we had all these documents floating around the doctor's offices, but there was no way to consolidate the files into like a PDF file that would follow the patient everywhere, right? And so it was frustrating at that time for the physicians and staff to treat their patients. So they started writing requests for, hey, we want companies who can make this work. How do we make this work? And Harris Healthcare went in like a champion, and we said, we can do this. We know how to do it. We know how to take disparate systems and software and applications and put it all together into one perfect package that follows this patient, and it's safe and secure and it's private, great. We had great solutions. We even wrote proposals. That's another area that was really different. Those were more like flashy business. Here's our solution to your problem. Here's your pain points. Here's how our products can help. But the interesting thing was the customers kept saying, who are you? Your defense, your aviation, your, they just didn't have any relationship with us. And that's very important to know. They need to know that we had some kind of medical experience or affinity. My background helped me out because I had a huge list of doctors and associates that I referred back and forth. So we hired a few people who had a medical background to help ease that relationship and get us into what we're going to do. So you think you're starting out one place, and then if you allow it, you can take the road less taken. If you want to.
Thank you so much. It looks like we have a question in the chat from Anne. If you have a lot of technical writing experience, different environments, medical, legal, financial, project related, and degrees, how do you get started on working with or getting experience with L3Harris?
Well, so, there's certainly many different ways to get experience with L3Harris. One that we've already mentioned, obviously, and Sally's answering the question there, but an internship, or, in another case here, Hunter, he applied through our new college grad program, which maybe Hunter, you might want to expand on that, but I think that's a great opportunity for folks that have graduated from school and then want to get on with a company like L3Harris. And there's certain benefits about being a new college grad too. You get your performance assessments are more often. You get salary increases more often than perhaps a normal employee for that. I believe it's like the first 2 or 3 years, right, Hunter? And obviously L3Harris, if you go to our website, there are just thousands of jobs right now. I'm sure you've all heard, through the news and such, everyone's hiring right now, and that includes L3Harris. And we need people. We need technical writers, we need trainers, we need engineers, we need logisticians. There's plenty of opportunity in the defense industry, and that includes L3Harris. And I think Sally's including some other opportunities to get involved and being noticed in the technical writing career field. I think she had mentioned volunteering, but getting in front of people obviously is important. Sharing your resume, networking. LinkedIn is a great way to network. I know John and I and others, we're all friends on LinkedIn, and so I think our LinkedIn bios are links there to our LinkedIn pages are available. So feel free to reach out if you want to connect. And as we get those, I know I personally advertise our jobs within the department, and I believe that others in the department also advertise those same jobs. So that's a great way to find out about what's happening in our department and at L3Harris.
Yeah, I can expand on that too, Marty. So the new grad program was great for me also, because one thing that I had was a schedule, and I got to meet with different SMEs within our department. and I was able to learn what they did. And I think that really helped in the long run, because now I know a lot more than I did when I was first graduating. I mean, considering I had an engineering degree and now I'm doing tech writing, logistics and metrics and all kinds of different things. So I think that the new grad program was great for our department specifically, because I got to meet with so many different people and they got to spread their knowledge to me, which definitely helps me grow as a tech writer and just as an employee in general.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another question from Deanna. What advice do you have for new graduates applying for the technical writing position at L3Harris? Anybody?
So for me, I would suggest taking as many coding classes as you can, or communication classes, which I'm sure you guys are already taking. But the amount of coding that you just, if you can get a grip on some kind of basis of coding, it would help you in the long run completely. I mean, I took industrial engineering, which I didn't think it was going to be a lot of coding, but it actually was. And when I finally got to my job here, I had an upper leg on everyone, because I knew at least how to code, and I'd have to sit down and I had to take classes on different types of codes and different types of things. And there's different types of languages, which is a wide range of different things. But I would say just getting kind of your foot in the door and maybe taking coding, seeing if you like it at all, seeing if if you're good at it, because you may be good at it, you may not. So I would say definitely take some coding classes for sure.
Just to add on to that a little bit from
I'll follow up on.
Sorry, Luke.
You
just
go first.
from a tech writing major perspective. So none of the projects I've worked on yet use code. I haven't used XML or HTML or CSS. Those are the things that I kind of focused on in my senior year. What I've been working on most is Word documents, but these Word documents are 350 pages, 500 pages long. When you get to a document that size, you're working with it much more. You can't get away with just clicking the bold button as you go through. You have to work with the styles. You have to get your styles lined up so that that style is cascading through all of the other styles. You've got to learn how all of the paragraph markings work. That stuff, it seems like, oh, well, that's just Word, it's not really code. But when you're getting into that level of a document, knowing about HTML and how a CSS, a cascading style sheet works with that to inform the whole thing, that really translated really, really well for me over into how to manage those styles.
And yeah, I'll just sort of chip in a little bit on my end as well to say, also having a really wide skill set is a great way to get a job, because being able to show that you're able to understand lots of various different other kinds of subject matters is a really good way to sort of stand above the rest. Even if you're trying to get a head start in technical writing, knowing about things like DITA or even S1000D, which are kind of fairly obscure and not something you hear about on a regular day-to-day basis, but if you show people that you know about that level of writing or that type of writing, that can definitely get you a good head start.
I can add to that. So one of the things that I'm noticing with people who are starting early in their careers is some have this fantastic background on their resume. So everybody's got the degree, they have a certain grade point average and so forth. But the ones that kind of stand out more are ones who are able to list relevant experience. And yes, I know you've been in college and you're busy and you've done some things, but most people have at least had some side jobs in high school and or college or both. I would say go ahead and put that down, but try to shape it so that it makes sense and is pertinent to the job that you're applying for. So for example, I used to be when I was in high school, I used to be a cashier at a grocery store. And I moved up to front end where I was doing bookkeeping and all the financial stuff. And then they promoted me to trainer. So when I put training on my resume, that popped up on like the HR database saying, we need somebody who has training experience. It wasn't necessarily had to be electrical training experience. It was just that kind of experience. The other thing is look at the job recs and see the terms that they are listing and what it is that they want, the skills. So if they say they want somebody who has HTML experience, or if they want somebody with a logistics background, then make sure you parrot that in your resume and be able to back it up with knowledge or experience on that. The other one is try to attend some conferences if you can. There have been some fantastic ones that I've done in the past that are actually, you know, they've changed their names so many times I can't keep up. But one of the last ones I attended was so cool. It was a defense gaming conference in Orlando, but they hosted it virtually on Second Life. Is it Second Life? Something, one of the virtual places like The Sims. And it was fantastic. I met a whole lot of people, made a lot of great connections that way. And last of all, just be yourself. You know, you want to, of course, have a pleasant team worker, professional type of personality, but it's also the freshness and the new ideas and your personality that adds to the team and makes us stronger and makes work a lot more interesting too.
Thank you all. That was very helpful.
All right, so moving on to some of the other questions. Just real fast, want to specify for all of you that are attending and want to ask questions, you do not have to type them. If you go into the reactions, you can raise a hand. We can tell which order you come in. So if you're willing to talk, please do that. It's just a quicker way, and it makes sure that we can't really lose your question, which we're really trying not to do in the chat. And speaking about the chat, there's two questions that are kind of related to more practical purposes. Camilo very early on asked, do you have remote working opportunities, or is it mostly shifting back to being in the office? And Dione, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, is asking, is there any problem with having dual citizenship to work in an engineering program like this?
Okay, so the first question was talking about working remotely versus on-site or a hybrid. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll add on to that a little bit. I believe Luke had talked about that a bit. When COVID first came out, those who were not doing production of products or manufacturing were asked to work from home if at all possible. So I actually worked from home for about 1.5 years or more and did just fine with it. I was skeptical at first, but it worked out great. And when things started getting better, then we had those conversations with our programs and with our group leaders and our engineering managers of what does it look like to come back to work, right? My director and program manager felt that we just did better as far as robotics if we had a little bit of cohesiveness. But what happened is we started doing a whole lot of international things, which is really cool. And people would flex their schedule. So one day I was helping somebody out in the United Kingdom. So I was, dialing in earlier. Another time it's Australia and so forth. So I just we all naturally just shifted our times. So what they did was they said, let's try this. Let's do a hybrid. You work from home on Monday and Friday. We don't want you to lose that skill set. It's very important to be able to do that because we do have another lockdown type of situation, right? So we keep that. But why don't we try to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And we know a lot of people who work on the United Kingdom side of the world, and we know a lot of people work on the other side of the world. So why don't we just say, let's have a core time of 9 to 2, and then, you flex it however you need to do it. It's been fantastic. I wouldn't have it any other way. I could do it any other way, but if I had a preference and they said, what would you like to do? That's the way I do it. It's a lot of fun.
I can add to that. I'm still getting used to working from home because there are days where I just need to see people and equipment so I can do my job well, especially when I'm tracking it down. because sometimes people like to walk up with equipment and put it in their offices. But it really is, it's a bit of both. You can have the opportunity of working only on site, depending on the program, what it is that you're supporting. Or you may be able to work remote, like Luke was saying, if you have offsite, or even Sally, she had the UK, Luke had somebody in California. I'm working with a team in Mount Prospect that I'm kind of backing off now, but their timing is a little bit different because it's an hour off. So we adjust as we need to, but the opportunity is there.
Stefan, I saw that you joined us. Are you muted, or are you able to speak to this? I know you've got a perspective that you might like to share with the group here, because you've had to work in plant the entire time during COVID. Do you have anything that you'd like to share about that?
Hey, Marty, are you able to hear me well?
I can. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
Awesome.
If you hear a baby yelling in the background, I apologize in advance. But yes, so we have a very important customer and a very important mission. And as you can imagine, we are called upon to support through pretty much all types of occasions. And the pandemic was not an exception. We did have to support in person. We are still supporting in person. It's a very challenging position to work on, but it's also very rewarding. So, you know, in a very short amount of time and with the least amount of words, that's what I would say about our job and working in plant.
Okay, unless anybody else wants to jump in to answer this. Going once.
There about dual citizenship.
Yes, that was the other one. It was phrased as, is there any problem with having dual citizenship to work in an engineering position?
So if you look on our website under the positions that are open, it'll say must be able to obtain a clearance. And Melissa could probably talk to this better than I can. But I will say that my daughter had a dual citizenship up until she was 18. I adopted her. So that did pose a problem for me to go on classified programs. They would put me on other programs, plenty of opportunity around here. It did not hinder me in any way as far as my career went. Then she, once she turned 18, she decided to just maintain the US citizenship. So now that's what she is. I would say just work with your hiring manager and also human resources. And I'm sure that, you know, if there is a certain level of clearance that you need to have, then security would be part of the interview, and you could ask some questions that way as well. I'm not sure what the, there's a gray area if your parents were in the military and you were born on a military base internationally, but maybe someone else can answer to that part.
I can actually answer to that. So my daughter was born on, actually she was born in the UK. So it's sort of similar to your situation, Sally. When she turned 18, there was a decision that she had to make with respect to her citizenship. But I think in general, to answer the question that was posed, you know, if it's not going to prevent you from obtaining a position at L3Harris. It's just that some of the programs at L3Harris require clearances. And in order to obtain a clearance of any type, you have to be a US citizen. So that doesn't mean that you can't obtain a job with L3Harris. It's just you wouldn't be able to work on a program that required a security clearance. So hopefully that helps with that question.
All right, thank you so much. I've seen that Alex really wants to ask a question, so I'll give him the floor. And after that, I'll be reading out a question from Adele Pace.
Hello, so I'm Alexandria. I have a question about technical writing. So I want to work in the defense industry, but I don't want to major or minor in engineering, and I'm not really sure where to go about that. It could be pretty much anywhere, but I just don't know where to go or like what I should minor in. When I went to Valencia, I was told that I had to specialize in something in order to be a technical writer. And so I kind of just felt like a lot of pressure that I had to like find like a specific field or something. And it's great to hear that you all like have so many strengths in like different things.
I can jump on that real quick. I had a different experience from what you're describing at Valencia. The UCF tech writing program was pretty easy to get in and navigate. And I believe there's a tech writing minor as well. So it's an English degree with a specialization in technical writing. And as far as having to zero in on a focus, especially right now, I would give you the opposite advice. You want to keep your horizon as broad as possible. Like we've said, what we do, there are a lot of different places you can go, but it's not like once you've done this type of project and developed this type of skill, that's all you'll ever do. Someone could just walk up to you and be like, hey, we need somebody on this, and it's gonna be great. So going into those things with an open mind and a curiosity about how it all works is going to serve you much better than trying to really focus and narrow in on something.
I'm going to follow up on Melissa, and I'm pretty sure that I was the one who said that to you. Wasn't I, Melissa? So my years here at L3Harris, now I will say I did not focus when I did not have a specific focus when I was a tech writing major at UCF. But I had a natural affinity for software. So when I initially came and started working at Harris in the division that I started working in, I was doing software user manuals, and I did that for quite a few years. I was developing software user manuals. I became an expert in FrameMaker, and I did RoboHelp online help development. So I did a lot of software programs. And then one day I get a phone call from my manager, and it wasn't Marty, it was a different manager back then. He called me up and he said, so I need you, I need you down here on a completely different campus. And you need to be here at 1 p.m. He called me at 11 and said, I need you here at 1 p.m. You're going to be supporting a completely different program. And it was a hardware program. There was very little software for this program. It was an intensely, it was hardware, rows and rows and racks of hardware and antennas. And I'm like, I don't have any experience in this. And fortunately, it was a great team of tech writers and trainers. And a couple of the trainers, they were old school Army guys. They just kind of took me under their wing and dragged me through and taught me everything I needed to know. And I started writing hardware manuals. And so and then eventually I got my clearance, ended up in a vault. And that's a whole other world. So you learn as you go, you roll with the punches, and being able to jump in and have the willingness to jump in and do whatever you need to do, and always constantly be learning something new every single day. It just makes you a more successful writer, especially in the defense industry.
And I can chime in for that just a little bit. When I graduated from school, I had a degree in logistics and business administration. So when I was studying college, I didn't have any skill sets that were specifically just for technical writing, but just because I was able to learn things quickly and I understood, how to write in a legible way, I was able to be onboarded as a technical writer very quickly. I went, right into hands-on tech pubs for the WPG program back in 2011. So I would say don't worry too much about not focusing entirely all of your studies on technical writing just now. Just work on broadening your skill set and getting better as a student. Sorry.
Okay, I understand. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for that. And now moving on to Adele, I would like to apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. She was asking, how would you manage to work with a subject matter expert busy on their work, but your work depends on them? How do you deal with a situation like that?
Answer some of that. So what I always try to do is offer to do anything that's helpful for them to take some things off their plates, because sometimes it could be a very deadline oriented environment. But then also I try to beef up my knowledge of the system, and I'll ask for the drawing tree. So for example, I work on robotics, right? I asked for the T4 robot drawing tree, and it told me every single piece and part that I needed to look at. And then I just kind of did a little bit of stealth reconnaissance, so to speak, and went and looked in some of the presentations and the systems engineering folders, and even in PDM, we have our drawings there, and I was able to pull those up and just learn a little bit about, here's an overview of the robot, here's an overview of what it does, here's an overview of how to remove and replace some of these things. We have a list of these 5 top things, but it's going to get bigger as we, put them out in the field and really use them in missions. So I would just say, just try to be a little flexible. Sometimes it's a whole bunch of hurry up and wait. And so you want to hurry up and get stuff done for, your team and your engineers and your program managers and engineering managers. But then all of a sudden they get really busy on a prop and this and that. It's okay to have a little downtime. And that's when you're going to try to work on your own personal training. We have so many training opportunities here where, they definitely want you to build up your professional repertoire as well. And even volunteer to work on things like a proposal or BOEs or something that, somebody might need some additional help on.
Like to chime in too. What helps is having the deadline drawn up for both yourself and them. Sometimes when you're looking for an answer, because they'll be spinning a lot of plates or juggling a lot of different things. It just depends on how you want to word that. But it's also, if you have to go hunt them down because they're only really good if they talk to you in person, be flexible to that. If it's only they're in their office an hour, they don't want to see people, but they still have their phone. Okay, let's schedule some time on the phone or on Skype. It's learning about the person and also being like, okay, well, I can do this or this or this. These are my options. Which one works best for you? And then just taking it one step at a time. Don't try to do everything at once, which is my problem. Don't do what I do. Just take it one step at a time.
Thank you so much. That helps a lot.
Yes, thank you for that. I'd seen that some of it had been answered in the chat a little bit, but I figured it was something a lot of people would like to know if they hadn't noticed the chat. Moving on, Eric Terry asks, where would I look to see if there are any internships relevant to my major, electrical engineering?
So John was able to provide a link. So there is an l3harris.com/careers page. You can go out there. There is a specific link to internships and new college grads. And you can search for a specific intern. You can do a search for internships or new college grad. And again, John provided the link again. And you can look for the specific field that you're looking in. I will say that we have 3 open internships, so I'm going to put that little plug in, that we are looking for 2 tech writers as well as a logistics intern for this coming summer. And we do have a new college grad position open for a tech writer as well. But for electrical engineering, I'm sure that there are a lot of internships available. Again, L3Harris does our internships during the summer. So if you are interested, please take a look now, because this is when they are going to be looking at the resumes and making their selections. So this would be the time to take a look.
Okay, thank you. That's quite comprehensive. This question's a little more directed. It's from Anne-Marie Schrader. She's asking, Hunter, what type of coding would you say is typical for the type of jobs you're doing?
So one thing that I think is the most basic one is HTML. So that's one of the major ones that we use. I've taken a class online. I've taken classes provided by L3Harris and stuff like that to kind of just broaden your strokes on HTML. It's kind of basic once you get the hang of it and you start to feel like what exactly is a paragraph, what exactly is a line. It's pretty, it gets complicated when you start to build it, you know, higher and higher, but I would say HTML and XML are probably the two main ones. And then you have CSS styles, which is all about styling. But yeah, those are probably the two main ones. And then like Melissa Olds was saying, a lot about like just like Microsoft systems in general, when you talk about Word and the little aspects that you don't really think that are important are pretty important. So it's definitely good to learn those things as well. But I would say that those are kind of the basics there.
Okay, thank you so much. Moving on, Camilo has posted another question. They're asking, I'm just going to read their question because my brain just completely blanked on how to rephrase this. I see you guys mentioned training. Is this corporate training, meaning designated trainers to keep the individuals within L3Harris updated on the changes, or more like training new employees, or perhaps both?
I'll start the answer to that, and I'm sure someone will back me up. But so training encompasses a lot. So we've talked a lot about training. So there's technical training in which L3Harris employees may train our customers on a system or a process. And then, you know, there's training development. So we develop the training for our customers. You know, it could be you know, instructor-led training or online training or CBT, what I was trying to remember earlier, but you know, there's that aspect of it. But then also we need to maintain our own skill sets, right? So we need training. So, you know, when I speak to department training, that's when I send my engineers and tech writers and such to go obtain training. I've got, you know, one of the programs we use is called FrameMaker. So we're getting our tech writers trained up on that. You know, there's instructional systems designs for our design training for our technical trainers. You know, we constantly have to upgrade and maintain our skills in order to provide that resource to our customers.
And then to kind of follow on, so sometimes we'll need to get training in something and there's not enough time to go to an outside training source. So we find an expert in the department and we do on-the-job training, or something that we like to call brown bags, which is at lunch, you bring your lunch and somebody sits down and trains you. It could be, you know, one person training one person, or it could be one person training 20 people in a specific skill set. You know, as I want to say Sally mentioned, I am a FrameMaker expert and I have trained many people on how to use FrameMaker, and I'll do it one-on-one. I've done it, you know, with 3 or 4 people sitting in a room, and we go through and pound through FrameMaker. I know Sally years ago, she trained me on a CBT tool called Opus, which I'm not even sure it exists anymore. But it's a key thing, is we have to keep up with not only just the soft, you know, the skills of technical writing or technical training development. We have to keep up with the software. And that's something, you know, yes, you know, we can get training for it, but sometimes there's not enough time. We need to come up to speed quickly. So we have people in the department who can help us out and get us trained. And but yeah, we have a lot. And then there is also corporate training that we have to take every quarter. So and that's just, you know, the the processes and procedures and what L3Harris wants us as employees to understand and follow. So there's a lot of training, lots of training.
All
Thank you so
right.
much.
Oh, wait, does somebody else want to add a question? Camilla, I saw that you unmuted.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying thank you. I mean, that was like great information because I'm very interested in that aspect of training. I do something similar at my job, so I'm always, every time that I hear training, I like to see perspective from other companies, but I see you guys have a lot and it seems very organized, so that's very interesting. So I appreciate all the information.
Yes, thank you for that, and thank you for giving such detailed answers. And considering the time, I think this will be the last question, and it's mine this time. So, what are the type of mistakes that somebody early on in the career would make that you would suggest trying to avoid, either from personal experience or kind of seeing chaos being spawned by new hires?
I would say from my experience, don't think that you know too much. Ask for help. Like we were saying earlier, everyone is willing and open to helping you throughout our department. I would just say, honestly, like I said, don't think that you know too much and ask for help. I mean, that's the best advice I can give for any intern or new grad. Just try not to put too much on your plate, because someone's going to help you and everyone will definitely help you.
Yeah, and I would also say just show respect for everybody, you know, no matter what background they're from or what age or anything like that. It's a diverse population. And I think I see a lot of success in people who just simply have a positive attitude and are very kind and outgoing or even quiet in their own way, but they're just positive and respectful as best they can be. We all get under stress sometimes, so we understand that, but in general, just a positive person.
I'll chip in from my side here and say, definitely be aware that it's good to be enthusiastic, but don't bite off more than you can chew. If you feel like you're getting bogged down, or you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, it's always good to, pop the emergency flare to your team and ask them for help or ask them for guidance if you're stuck or struggling.
And I'll just add to that, please don't be afraid to ask questions or to sound dumb because you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes when you're working with a group of geniuses, and I mean that in the actual term, not the sarcastic term, they all know what they're all talking about. And it's the same thing, but they all call it different things. And this one here has to be like, yo, somebody tell me, what are you talking about? Because you're losing me. You're losing me and I can't follow. So please ask questions. It's okay.
All right, thank you so much for those answers. And I believe John would like to close us out. And I'd also like to thank Zachary for not getting mad that I took over the questions.
Right, sounds good. And thank you, Kaylin and Zach, for tag teaming the questions, which we had a lot of really great ones. And thank you to just all the panelists from the team just for all of your just amazing advice, just amazing insight into everything. This is a fantastic meeting on just L3Harris, tech writing, and beyond tech writing too, which is great for the audience that we have. And so thank you again to all of you. And also to the attendees for just coming to today's meeting. It was a really great one. And it was the participation in the audience and the amount of questions that were shared too that just made it so great. And all the questions are valuable too, because everybody gets to learn from them. And as we just heard, as Natasha just said, always be asking questions. And always put yourself out there as just the team was sharing, as Melissa was sharing, there's opportunities open right now for interns for a new grad position. So be sure to check those out. And we post them on our socials and we have them on our website. And I'll be posting the link to our FTC website, just in case you are new and want to stay in touch. We have some information about L3Harris and today's meeting and the speaker bios up there too. And with that said, connect with them on LinkedIn too, or just on places where they are. They're just being on LinkedIn is a great resource to network, and just being here in this meeting, that's a great connection point. Just being able to say, hey, I thank you for just presenting, and I'd like to just stay in touch. So with all that being said though, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to the panelists for a fantastic meeting again. And just for everybody for coming through tonight. And we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting or wherever we cross next. And just once again, thank you everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, John. Look forward to seeing you in plant.
Yeah, Monday, right?
For sure. Yeah, on Monday. Yep, I'll be there on Monday. I'm going to cancel the rest of my plans. So
Yeah,
it's a
you can share an office with Melissa.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be great.
It's okay,
And maybe
John.
for the rest of you too, but there's
It's okay, John. I can
Okay.
run the club. You can leave.
great. Thank you for stepping up so quick.
Thank you.
Best VP.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.